Well, if you saw the thumbnail, you probably guessed this video is about a wither skeleton farm. You're also probably wondering why I'm in my sheriff's costume. Well, that's none of your business. Hello, and welcome to another installment on the Lucid SMP. This episode is all about building my very own custom wither skeleton farm. I'm going to show you how I went about putting it together. I'm also going to include heaps of awesome time lapses, which means you're going to get that high subscriber count quality for that low subscriber count price. However, we have a lot to get through, so I think we should get straight into it. So I thought I'd start things from the very beginning. We're lucky enough to have the seed on this server, so I made my own creative world so I could show you what I've found. This is the fortress that I've found on the server, and it's in perfect location. It's in a soul sand valley, and I was looking for a specific formation which looked just like this. Now, if you're wondering why everybody chooses this formation, the crossroads in particular, is because they have a huge bounding box. I've got a mod installed that shows the bounding boxes, and I'll just turn it on like this, and you can see that this simple crossroads has this huge box here. Now, in this box, fortress mobs will spawn on any solid block, so we don't have to use this nether brick here. We can use whatever we like and the fortress mobs will spawn. So I was originally looking for a double crossroads, and this is exactly what I found. We've got 1, 2 here, but I looked a little bit further and I found this third one over here. So I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to design my own custom farm. So I've been really hard at work and designing up a new farm, and if you want to see it, there it is. Now, you'll see that I've used this well-known mechanic of wither roses, meaning only wither skeletons can spawn here, rather than have all blazers and pigmen and even a few, what are they called? Magma cubes? Yeah. We've used this pretty popular mechanic to just make it a wither skeleton only farm. Now I'll bring up the bounding boxes of my crossroads, and you can see what I've done here. This is you can see that's a 1, 2, 3 bounding boxes, and you'll remember that there was a little building housing a blaze spawner, and I thought, well, that's in a bounding box, so we'll use that as well. You will see that I didn't actually get to use the entire bounding box for a spawning floor here. I was going to try and do all that, but I do like a fancy dog formation so they'd be scared towards the middle here, but they just took too long to die, so I had to surrender, unfortunately, a few spawning spaces in order to kill them just a little bit quicker. So let me just turn off these bounding boxes. Okay, so I'm in the farm. I want you to pretend that I'm a wither skeleton, and I see this dog here, and I'm like, ooh, run away. So I run away up to 5 blocks, I turn around, and I'm like, ooh, piglin, we're not friends. So I run over here, I try to attack the piglin, jump down, get pushed in this squish chamber, and then come down to the kill chamber where this guy tries to swipe me, but he can't get me because I'm in creative mode. So now you got the idea of how the farm works. I managed to get 3 whole layers in here, and they all fall down. You see this is our squish chamber, where they all get pushed into this fall chamber, and right down here is the kill chamber. As for the storage system, I've made it so rather than bother with all copper mine carts and then getting them into droppers and then putting them back into the system again, I cut out the middleman, so the items just come right down here and they fall down and get funneled down to this. This honey block aligns them using this ender chest, and they just get pushed along here and go into shulker box loaders. because shulker box is in short supply, and I made this special system so when it runs out, it locks all of these hoppers and we just store all our items in lava. Also made this other fancy mechanism. Just let me get out of spectator mode. Made this other fancy mechanism so if we don't feel like collecting bones, we can just turn these off for that one. And it activates this, and look, it locks all these hoppers for it. So any here can also get stored in lava. So as you can see, I've got a lot of work to do. So let's get out of creative and get back into survival and get started. This is the fortress in question that we're going to be tearing up. You can see we've got these little stoppers here so our wither skeletons can't get in. We were using this to get all our skulls when we were first starting out, so it's been really useful. A lot of people have used it, but it's time to tear this thing apart and do a lot of work. I've got to go gather up some materials, but first I'm going to go dig myself a big old hole so we can fit this farm in. So without further ado, let's cut to a time lapse and get this hole dug out. Well, that was a big hole. I don't know if you saw, but it got so hectic when we got down to the fortress level. So many deaths, but we got through it. I want to thank Jazzjodi so much for helping me dig some of that out, because that was actually a much bigger task than I thought it was. I've been doing a little bit of work off camera. I've gathered all the materials I need, and because this has farms and everything, not farms, we have dogs and piglins. I went and gathered those up off camera as well. So you'll see here, I've got my big puppy playground. This is a good place to come. If you're just feeling down, you get to come play with all the puppies. And here I've got all my hoglins, and they're a bunch of angry boys, aren't they? So we've got everything ready to go. So it's not really much we can do. Here's my materials here. I think we're about to cut into yet another time lapse. And I suppose, let's get started. farm is all built up, so I thought I'd pop over to my creative testing version of this farm and just to get an idea on how good it is. And I've been running it for a bit over an hour, and I'm got to say I'm not too happy with the results. Right now it's running at about 14,000 items per an hour, and it's not even getting 200 wither skeleton skulls. And I don't reckon that's good enough. So I've come just to check it out and see what's wrong. So the first one I can see is that we're not getting all that many skeletons. So I reckon we can get a lot more. And I press tab and I can see my mob cap is almost always full. So I'll go into spectator mode and I'll have a look around and see where I can find the problem. I can't see any mobs here. Oh, there's a few skeletons just random sitting about here, and I think I found the culprit a bit earlier. I'd say it would be this basalt delta, and I think this is causing all of our problems. I've got a despawn sphere set up with mini HUD, and you can see we've got this huge basalt delta inside our spawning sphere. So I jumped back into survival and was wondering what to do with this basalt delta. I could slab the entire area, or I could blow it up. So if you guys would like either slabs or TNT, just let me know in the comments section below. I'm just joking, guys. I know you hunger for TNT infused chaos.
Did someone say TNT infused chaos?
Were you standing there the whole time?
I heard someone say TNT, so you know.
Right.
So there's two ways to do this. The clean way with lava sweepers, or the dirty way.
Let's do it dirty. My original plan was just to have the lava flow down and cover everything, but it messed with my OCD, so I think I'm going to do a tidier version. Might even make a better duper, because that thing is slow. Well, that ended up being a much bigger job than I thought it was going to be, but we ended up with this really impressive hole. I went ahead and spawn-proofed the rest of this floor with pressure plates over here, and this wall over here was looking really messy, so I just smoothed it all out. As for whether or not this would have been faster just using pressure plates, it definitely would have been, but you saw how much fun we had with the TNT, so if you feel like blowing something up, definitely go with the TNT option. I highly recommend it. I was watching this really neat video from Nembon, who's a Psycraft member, and he showed us that when you put striders in a soul sand valley, it helps suppress the spawns in the rest of the biome. So I went and grabbed myself a few of these boys, and hopefully it really boosts the rates of the farm. I'll go ahead and leave his video in the description and highly suggest you watch it. He's got heaps of really neat stuff if you really enjoy designing your own farms. So go check it out. So right now I actually should have a pretty decent farm. You're probably wondering why I'm in the end. I actually need a fair few shulkers, like a lot. So let's speed things up. Now, the reason I need so many shulkers is because of the shulker loaders in the farm. I think I need around about 9 stacks just so that I can run the farm for a few hours, which is a lot of shulker shells. But I also want a few more shells for just other stuff that I need, because I do end up using quite a lot of them. You know those times when someone on YouTube says, I did a little bit of work off camera and they did something insane? Well, this is definitely one of those times. So, bam, a full shulker box full of shulker shells. Hopefully that should tie me over for probably, I don't know, a couple of days. We will see. I love these things, and these are my most sought after resource in this game because they're not easy to get. We do have a plugin that allows double shulker shell drops, but even still, this was a huge grind to get. Also, you might have to see what's left over of that end ship up there. I'll give you one guess who did that. So I hopped back into my creative testing world and I've recreated the exact conditions of where we're up to so far. If you were paying attention earlier, I was using this awesome tool for building farms. If you want to try designing your own farms, go and check out Nembon's carpet mod. Watch his video, play around with the mod, then watch the video again. It's okay if you don't pick up everything the first time you watch the video. And if you do, you're a lot smarter than me. Of course, I'll go ahead and leave a link for that in the description. So I've been testing the rates for a little bit and we're getting a huge increase in drops. Right now, we're getting close to 64,000 items an hour and 836 skulls an hour, which is around 14 skulls a minute. So right now, this is a really decent farm. However, I can see the mob cap is barely ever full. So is there a way to speed up the spawning potential of this farm? And you know what? There is. And that is to decrease the height map of the farm. I could go into detail as to what that means, but for now, I'm just going to call it magic. In short, that means the roof of the farm has to go, including the bedrock.
What are you doing?
Yeah, this is taking a while.
Here.
Ah. So after we did all that, I hopped back into my creative testing world just to get an idea on the rates, and I can say it's a lot more. Before we had 64,000 drops an hour, and now we're up to 80,000. And the mob cap is almost always full. So this is a pretty damn good farm. Let's just check how many skulls. Yeah, we're getting a bit over 1,000 skulls an hour, which is just insane. However, I think we can get a little bit more out of this thing. What do you say? So, if this farm is always reaching mob cap, how can we get the farm to get even more rates? And the answer is, add another mob cap. And That's exactly what I did. I've got my mate Steve there, you can see in tab. He just AFK somewhere else, and now my mob cap is 140. And I've been running this farm for a bit over an hour now, and I can give you the final rates. It looks like we've got 121,000 items an hour and 1,575 skulls an hour. If we add that up, that's a bit over 26 skulls a minute. So if you look back, when we started, we only had 64,000, and just by removing this bedrock roof and having a friend AFK for us, we've almost doubled the rates of the farm, which is insane. So this farm is nothing short of crazy, and it didn't even need a big perimeter like you would see on a technical server. This project started as a simple way to get a decent amount of resources, but I couldn't help myself. I wanted to see how far I could take this concept, and I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with the results. Now, removing the bedrock above the farm didn't have to be done. 64,000 drops an hour is still an awesome farm. All of that almost doubled the amount of effort that went into the farm, but since it almost doubled the rates, I saw it as a good trade-off. So building farm designs by other people can be super fun, but nothing beats the feeling of designing your own. It doesn't matter if your design isn't the fastest, what matters most is that you created it. I've shown you a bit about my process and how I created my farm, and I hope this inspires you to try creating your own. So get out there, start playing with ideas, and most of all, have fun. If you're the kind of person who loves to design your own farms, I'd really like to hear from you. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe even give the channel a cheeky subscribe if you like. Well, that's me for the video. Have fun, and I'll see you on the next one.